What's the most hurtful thing your parent ever said to you? I'll be back to pick you up in 3 days. She did not. I wish I had aborted you, and I hate you because you look like your damn father. I'm 73 and even now it would take too long and be too painful to dredge up everything hurtful my dad said to me. I was 17 and arguing with my mother. She grabbed my stepdad's loaded revolver he kept on top of the grandfather clock and pointed it at my face. She looked absolutely unhinged and told me, "I swear I'll kill you." Unfortunately, that's one of several incidents. Almost 30 years later, and she wonders why we have a very distant relationship. They gave me the advice to never have children. That all of us 6 kids ruined my mother's life. When I was 16, my adopted dad told me I wish we had adopted a girl. It's been over 3 decades. And now the man can't even remember my name as dementia takes his mind. And I still resent him for that. X200B. As I noted when this came up elsewhere, there is a silver lining to be had from it. As a parent myself, I am acutely aware of just how damaging words can be, and even when my kids absolutely were pissing me off, I never said anything like this to them. I tried to always tie chastisement to behavior and not them as a person. I can't believe you expect so much from us just because you got diagnosed with cancer. My mother, while kicking me out of her house in the middle of chemotherapy at 25 years of age when I couldn't afford to pay rent on unemployment. My mom supported my ex-wife in the divorce and then told my now current wire, "I'll help you get all the money out of him when you want to leave him." Shush has also told me flat out, if I demand my kids' car seats from her, she will never babysit them again. The car seats that she put into a storage unit. I was having an argument with my mom, and when I told her about some stuff I remembered that wasn't exactly nice as a kid, she said, "Well, I don't remember that happening, so it must have never happened. And I choose to live in the reality where it didn't. But you can do whatever you want," and walked away. Feelings invalidated. Oh, big time. The one that rattles in my head the most, either not repressed or just recent enough to remember better, was from my dad. After I had lost a bit of weight. Said, "Wow, you actually look like a human being." My dad speaks in sarcasm, so who knows how rude he was meaning to be, but man, that one burrowed deep. I love your sister's kids more than yours. X200B. She justified it by calling my husband and I better parents, my husband's parents as better grandparents, and saying that my nephews needed it more. Which might all be true. But it still stung. You're just a freeloader. At a family Thanksgiving dinner. It was our last dinner together as a family. I was born out of wedlock. My parents never got married and broke up months after I was born. My mom got married a couple of times. Neither of them lasted, though the first one gave me a younger sister. My dad got married and is still married. I was molested by my first stepdad, and when I finally confessed to my dad and stepmom several years later, my dad told me he saw my SA as God's punishment toward my dad for doing the deed before marriage. Being told that has left a sour taste in my mouth whenever I think of him. While having a panic attack, you are a burden on me, your siblings, and your friends. Panic attack proceeds to get worse. The best part of you dripped down your mother's leg. My dad, when I was around 15-16, now 48. They wish they never had me. My mom told my sister when I was 5 that I would end up homeless or on the street 'cause I was slower in school, and for my younger sister to take care of me when we are older. She was 3. That I can't do anything. You're not pretty from a beautiful mom who judged most people by their looks. And maybe was a titch narcissistic. Some time ago, I was struggling at adjusting to this new job. And the guy training me was an asshole. I told my mom about it. And she flat out told me to man up. Otherwise, you're not my son. I've never told her about any personal problems I've had since. And probably never will again. I don't care if you kill yourself. I will never give them the satisfaction, lol. My wife and I met. Then married 3 months later. 10 months later my wife has a beautiful baby girl. Mom, with a straight face, asks me, "Are you sure it's yours?" This thread is wildly depressing. I told my mother to look at me. I asked her, "Don't you love me?" She looked me straight in the eyes and said no. In 4th grade, one had incredibly low self-esteem and was in a dark place. I felt unlovable. My bipolar mom was taking me to therapy, and at one point the therapist asked her to come in and tell me why I was worth loving, and my mom started crying. She was not in a great place at this time. And said, "I'm sorry, I can't," and ran out. I've been in therapy pretty much the last 25 years and am trying to get over borderline personality disorder. Can't accept love or give it, etc. It's not her fault. However, it was one of those moments where the world collapses. She's apologized a million times. I had big ears when I was really young. My dad always said if I got caught in a windstorm I'd flap myself to death. Not super mean, but made single-digit me cry. I grew into them BTW tears of joy. Shortly after my sister passed, that they would take their life if I did not pick them in the divorce. If you wanna cry, I'll give you a reason to cry. That they regretted adopting me. Oof. So you mean 2 families didn't want me? After my mom and I discussed my dad raping me as a child, her response: "How could your father do that to me? I love you, but I don't like you." Good question. I can't even repeat it. I was adopted by a grandparent. One time, when I was about 9, I was acting up and my grandparent told me, "You should consider yourself lucky that I adopted you. If I didn't come around, you'd probably be living on the street with your parents." I've never forgotten nor forgiven for that. I'm in my 30s. You were a mistake. Mom claps hand over her mouth immediately. Fired up, I said, "The fuck does that mean?" She said, "You were Q, failed abortion." And she walked away. I hate you because you look like my mom. Also, I hate you because you look like your mom. My grandfather said everyone thinks I'm annoying. I was like 15 and had really poor self-esteem. So this was devastating to me. I wish you had never been born. You were supposed to be a boy. Hey. Sorry, Mom. Blame Dad on that one. His swimmers didn't get the memo. Meanwhile, my daughter is the light of my life and I will never make her feel like my egg donor made me feel. Last year my dad said he should come over to my house and shoot me and my husband. He was not the least bit kidding and had plenty of means to make that a reality. After a heated argument about why I moved out when I was 18 and sexually assaulted at a party, if you didn't want something like that to happen to you, then you shouldn't have put yourself in that situation. I refused to move back in with them and will never forget those words. That my mom thought I was never good enough for anyone, whether it be friendships or relationships. She hated every aspect of how I act because it's not down to code. Now we just rarely talk unless we have to.